המייסר הוא העיקר, דעשייה בפה.
It's not the understanding, it's the performance.
That is the income. That
is the main thing, performance.
But like the reason why we always get what we need for the program, I have this mindset of like the program is wealthy. The program has what it needs. Even if Lapayel, we don't have it yet in our in Matthias, but in Kayach it's there.
The program's that.
Okay, welcome everybody. This is actually insane. This thing's been planned for exactly 3 hours. We literally just today decided we have an idea and making a podcast. It's going to be inspiring thousands of people, millions of people. And right away decided we had an idea. It's called Gavi, and we graciously agreed. Scratch for hosting us for the podcast.
I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for the money. So
still looking for sponsors.
By the way, talking about money, we got to give a big shout out to our corporate sponsor. Got to make this as official as possible, to U.S. Virtual Guard. See, many times someone could have, whether it's a Chabad, a construction site, expensive equipment, and then they wake up in the morning only to see afterwards that there was damage, and then they have to make a police report. Where U.S. Virtual Guard, a good friend of mine, Rabbi Eliav, does, he has people that are watching the cameras live. They put in their cameras and he's watching it live, that even if someone's trying to enter the Chabad house or the shul or the construction site, hotel, Airbnb, whatever it is, boom, they call the cops. They're in touch with the agency. Some of them are retired cops and they take care of it right away. Wow. So this goes for you if you have a construction site, the shul, the Airbnb, hotel, whatever it may be. U.S. Virtual Guard will post the link, and I think they're going to do 5% off for those that do it through the podcast.
What's the code word?
The code word is okay. Before we introduce Rabbi Gavi Kollen, a man, very special man, maybe Chaim could share for a moment to the following. What is the podcast all about? What should they expect to see?
So this podcast is not just about glorifying people. It's not just about entertainment, which definitely will be.
That's not what it's about?
No. Gavi, we need you in.
It's really about the viewers. It's about the viewers to really want to hone in and focus on giving people perspective on how they can really go after what their heart is telling them to do. People have visions, desires, but they're stuck in fear and doubt. They're stuck in procrastination. And we hear of a man of action, a man of passion. Gavi, you'll see him around, always on the go, on the run, arranging things, making things happen with the youth, and to smile. And we're gonna get into all his programs and how we got to where you got to today. So, last shalom to introduce Gavi from his perspective.
No, it just reminds me of what Chaim said. A man of action. You know, it's sometimes the most important things go under the glamour. Sometimes the guys with nice watches and the cars could be all glamorous. But I remember, like it was yesterday, there was a boy who was a shliach, and, you know, everyone has times they go through a tough time. And he was going through a tough time, to say the least. But not just ruchnis. And I remember he told me he's going at the time to, then it was called the 13-day farbrengen. And fast forward a month and a half, I didn't know too much about the program. A month and a half later, I see this boy. I'll tell you his name afterwards. I was crying from joy. He went afterwards to yeshiva, healthy, happy. I was in touch with his father beforehand. Now he's in touch. He's pashut. He's someone who's contributing to the world. I see him, I get inspired, and he was in many different programs, and it wasn't working out for him. And he went to Rabbi Gavi Kollen's program for bringing it, and it changed his life and many boys. And I was zeicher myself to want to be a staff member on the program. More than a staff member, I was a talmid. I learned from seeing Gavi, passionate. Not to say too much in front of him, but someone that we can all learn from, who's a doer, who cares about what matters most, the Rebbe's children, Hashem's children. And we want to give you a bracha that it should be just Michael Chayil. Hashem should give you and your Rebbetzin, Bani Chaim, everything you ever need, because you're really for the next generation. And we want to start maybe you could share with us a little bit about where you're from, how you got to where you are. Yeah.
We grew up in Los Angeles, my family. I grew up conservative Jewish. And then I went to public high school. And then I had a crazy thing happen in the middle of high school and then at the end of high school. And then I went to yeshiva. So I guess because the whole focus that you introduced me with was the shlichus, I'll say the story as it's a part of the shlichus, because my life now is not my story. My life is really the shlichus. And the only reason that I'm able to do the shlichus is really because of the story. So I could tell you the story. I grew up, I always had tons of energy. I always was like the class clown and was always trying to, I never fit in school. Like when I tried, I would do well, but I didn't try too much because I didn't like to be bound by like what I had to do over there. And I always had big ideas. I was coming up with like business ideas and different types of things. And like, but it always had to do with like helping people. Like I remember when I was like 8 years old, like I had a vision that I would be like the cool guy with like a leather jacket, but like helping like the kid getting bullied. Like that was like I had this vision, like I'm going to be the guy that like beats up the guys that are hurting the bullies, beats up the bullies that are hurting like the push it to, yeah, I didn't know it was Yidden at the time, but the little guy. And I grew up surfing and biking, and like that also gave me I have a neshama, but that also helped me to have a kind of life outside of the Goyish world that I grew up in. I was very stuck in the Goyish world that I grew up in, but every a few days a week I would like have this escape, like, totally out of where like there was no phones, no anything, and totally like with Hashem, like out in the water, like just like seeing the sun mamish rise over the hill as I'm catching a wave, or like biking up a hill at 5 a.m. with my dad, and that helped me to be a little bit removed from all that stuff. And then when I was in high school, I started making YouTube videos. I also wanted, it's just my teva that I'm loud, for better or for worse. And I have this kach in just, I don't know, like, I have a kach in kaching. Like, I don't even know if it's, I'm just a naturally passionate person, but I guess I always had, I think my dad, maybe it's me, maybe it's my dad that gave it to me, I'm not sure. But I had a deep desire always for like truth, searching and like figuring things out and getting it clear and getting it right. Like, so like that manifested in high school as like getting into politics and seeing who's wrong and who's right and like what makes more sense and getting passionate about it and getting into it. And I made a whole YouTube channel where I would like interview people about Donald Trump and stuff, and like it went big. Some videos got almost 500,000 views, and like that was my whole life. And then when I made one video and my favorite YouTuber in the world, someone like tagged them because I made it like them. And I never thought I had like a few hundred followers on Instagram. And they tagged him, and he actually responded and said we have to collab. And then I collabed with him, and that was and then that was like my life started to go that direction. Smoked a lot of weed. Started smoking weed in high school. Partially because I wanted to go. I just wanted to experience things. Also, I was in a lot of pain like freshman year, just like insecurities, and just like I didn't even realize that I knew that I was in pain, but I didn't acknowledge that was something that had to be dealt with. I acknowledged it as something I had to run away, like I can't deal with this. So I wanted to see maybe weed would help, and then it helped. And then I started smoking every single day from morning till night, for a few years, 4 years maybe, every single day, from morning till night. And then it turned into like literally like every hour on the hour, just like getting high. But I had I always was crazy. Like one time I jumped my neighbor's fence, they grew weed, and I jumped their fence to go, is this not for the...
I would want to ask you if I could, because on this Nakul, I think right here, it's something that a lot of people, from young to old, teenagers to adults, what's your thoughts about weed? Like someone that experienced it, like...
I'll tell you after. The conversation isn't weed right now. I don't mean to.
No.
I jumped my neighbor's fence to go see, and I ripped the plants off the. I was gutsy. I always like went for things that were just like. I literally got like a black suit from like Party City, like this full on and I jumped the fence and I ripped it off the fence like mom, it's like Mission Impossible. Jumped back into my house and I tried to smoke it. It didn't work because I didn't know you have to dry it out. So then because it's like a wet plant, it doesn't work. So I had to dry it out. So I had to dry it in an oven. That was like the next best thing. Like if you don't have proper tools. So I'm like, my parents' room was like over here and the kitchen's over here. So I'm like standing in the middle, like looking at the oven, looking at my parents' room. Like second I hear like wood creak on the floor, I like quickly turn off the oven, hide all the weed like from it, and pretend like I'm looking like reading a magazine or something, and then it would be nothing. It'd just be like old house creaks. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. So then I put it all back, and then I would like steal my dad's car like in the middle of the night. Like got a moped when I was like 15 or 16 without my parents knowing, without any license or registration, and I just like. This is all a build-up to show you like nothing gets in the way of Ratzin.
Was that the story? Was that the story you said?
No. The story was that I was 16. It was around the same time, 16 or 17, and my life I was just feeling a lot of pent-up energy, built up darkness and anxiety, and just like not happy. And I decided I went to this camp. We went to this camp. I got kicked out of this camp called Camp Ramah. I got kicked out because I brought edibles the year before. But my Hebrew high school, I had this thing called Hebrew High. Every Sunday I went to this Hebrew school. I got extra credits, language credits and like other credits, and we'd be great for college, So I went to the Sibras, and they were doing a Shabbaton retreat at the same camp that I got kicked out of. But this time it wasn't under Camp Ramah. It was under my high school, my Hebrew high school or whatever. So I went back there, and I was like feeling a lot of stuff built up, and I realized like there was a night activity. I started walking, and I knew it was going to rain like crazy, and I had a poncho, and I was going to the night, and something in me said, no, take a walk, like the thing was left, go right, like just go walk on this path. Like there was like a path there, and I started walking, and as I started walking, it started to rain really, really intensely, and I started to feel Hashem's presence, like mamish, like I started to feel like I was walking with it, and I totally became present, like totally came into the moment and just like started walking. And like all of a sudden so many things started to become so clear. Like I realized that I was like the people I was mistreating in my life and how I could do better. And that there was like, at some point I was sitting on the mud. I sat down, and all this, I was like, to this day, probably the most intense experience of my life. And I sat down, and like there was a spider crawling on me, and I was like thinking like, oh my gosh, like I'm a human and this is a spider. And I stuck my hands in the mud, and I just like felt the earth, and I felt like, I don't know, it felt like so fresh, and I felt Hashem in everything. And I was like, and I got up and I started walking around, and I literally like, it's like, you'll think I was high. I was high. I was on weed, but if anyone knows drugs, weed doesn't do that to you. This is something that, if anything, LSD, or maybe my thing was spiked, so I don't know if I can even trust it, but like, I don't know how common that is with weed. And it was before the days of fentanyl being in weed, as far as I'm aware. And I don't think fentanyl does this kind of experience either. This is more like psychedelic. And if anyone knows weed, when you're a stoner, it becomes like normal life. It becomes very regular. Like you don't have crazy experiences anymore. You just like, you're high all the time, and you're not even really high. You're just like normal. I was like normal. Like my normal was high. Like I was just, and like my parents didn't even know, because every moment I was high, and I like learned how to function that way, even though it wasn't really functioning. And I was like walking around, and I was like just feeling like each tree, like being so in the moment, and so like, oh, like seeing how it's so perfectly designed, and like looking at myself like, oh my gosh. And then I was up till the morning, literally farbrengen with each person I saw in the camp, telling them about how important it is to be mindful and present, and to let go of the masks. I remember the whole farbrengen, it was a farbrengen. The whole farbrengen was like, take off your mask. Everyone's wearing a mask. Everyone's faking it. Take off the mask. Be present. Be with the people. Enough with all the jokes and and everyone was actually very like moved. I must have farbrengened probably about 10 or 15 people. Each one was like 30 minutes to an hour slots. Literally, like these are conservative, like, not from Yidden, but I'm just talking to them about how like there's God and there's purpose, and we have to be mindful of everything we do and every moment we're in. And that didn't last so long, because it was just the Easter Siddur Eila, but that woke me up, like there's Hashem. And then when I was in high school, that was when I was like 16, and then when I was like 18, and high school was coming to an end, and high school ended, it was in the summer after high school, and my parents were telling me, you have to go to college, or else you have to pay rent, or like you need to go to college, and I was just like, why? Because when I was in high school, I had a really good, I had like a 4.2 GPA, and because when I would try, I would do really, really well. And then one day I asked like it was my calculus teacher, like, why do I need to know this? And I had like a 97 in calculus. I was like, why do I need to know any of this? He goes, it doesn't matter. Just do it. Like, this is how you're going to like in life, you're not going to need to know it for anything. And I was just like, and so I actually stopped showing up. From that day, I stopped going to his class for the rest of the year, which was a few months. I just stopped showing up. And he actually was very kind. He gave me a passing grade, even though I deserved a mamish an F. He gave me a C, because he knew that I wasn't, which was nice of him. And then the whole senior year, that was 11th grade. The whole senior year, I didn't show up to anything, because I just realized the whole thing's a scam. I felt deep down like, I'm just thankful to Hashem. I felt, if this isn't true, then I don't need to listen. Meaning, if they are a bluff, if I don't need to know any of this stuff, like, then it won't last. Like that I'll be okay not listening to them if it's a bluff. Like, I don't have to listen. So high school, the whole senior year of high school for me was just like summer. It was I had fun, played basketball, smoked with the guys, and like, the teachers I liked, I'd go hang out with them. Like, and then the summer after senior year, my parents were like, you have to go get a job, or you have to go to college. You have to go to a good college, or like sign up for any college at least. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to. Like, I'm just like, why do I need to do that? And then and then what happened next, I can't even explain to this day, but there's a voice in my head that just said, you need to switch everything up. You have to drop your whole entire life that you've been living, and you need to listen to your neshama. And it has to do with being a Jew. And I was just like, what? Like, I like hated that voice. Like, why are you bothering me? Like, I'm having such a fun life. Like, why?
What reference did you have like till then? What was like your lifestyle? Like, what was your connection to
Yiddishkeit?
Yeah.
With Yiddishkeit, it was, at that point, I don't even know if I was fasting on Yom Kippur. I think I was. No Shabbos, no kosher, no tefillin, no tzitzis, no nothing. Funny, one time in high school, I had a hisaidus to put on yarmulke and tzitzis. And I went to public high school with them. I don't even know why. I felt so uncomfortable, and then I never did it again. I don't know where it came from. I had a family friend that was from, and I was like, can I have a pair of tzitzis? And but I wasn't observant of anything. I wasn't keeping anything. And then something in me just said, you have to change your life. You have to listen to your neshama. And I hated it. I actually hated that voice so much. I was actually very angry at Hashem. Like, why are you giving me this? Like, just let me be. Like, let me have a fun life. Like, why are you? And then eventually I realized I had to listen to it.
Do you know it's the truth?
Of course, yeah. And that's why I hated it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I decided to listen. And automatically, just like some things became very clear to me. Just like one of them was like, you now have to like basically totally kind of distance yourself from the life you've been living, and also never shave.
Wow.
So it's very weird. Like, I didn't know any Kabbalah, I didn't know any halacha, I didn't know, just like never shave again. There's like a clarity in me, like I'm never shaving. And I never shaved since then. That was when I was 18 years old. I'm 24. And then I started I texted in this group chat, because what happened was, like a few days later, like a voice in my head said, okay, because then I was in a limbo state. Okay, now I'm listening now. I'm like, open. God, like, what do you want? What do you want from me, God? And then like something popped in my head, like tzitzis. Like, what's the deal with tzitzis? And so I was like, I would like, this thing popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder like why that popped into my head. And and for us, growing up, tzitzis are weird. Like these weird white strings that the people that live under a rock wear. No normal person wears that, like, but something in me said like, and I texted in the chat I was in the Snapchat group chat that a Chabad rabbi started for his high school. Like because he was like a Chabad rabbi to a high school, Rabbi Danny Alulian. Shout out to Rabbi Danny. And he responded, he said, very important, call me. So I called him. He said, come for Shabbos. And like something in me said, power off your phone for Shabbos. You should keep Shabbos to Shabbos. And I turned off my phone for Shabbos. And I went to the shul, and there was just I felt a certain I saw by the Shabbos table, like the tznius and the Torah. It was like lichtig. It was very lichtig. And when I put on the tzitzis, it was like, I felt like after 18 years of running all around and not knowing who I was and what I was doing, it was like, I felt like this was like, I'm home. Like this relief, like, oh my gosh, it's so good to be back. I'm so glad that I'm home. Like almost like I missed you, Hashem. I've missed you, and I'm so happy to be back. And I've been wearing tzitzis every single day and every single night since then. Have been keeping Shabbos. Since that Shabbos, started keeping Shabbos ever since then. Wow. He told me about mikvah, started going to mikvah ever since then. It's not a usual story. It was just like, I literally became from it today. Like my wife is also Baal Tshuva, and like she says, like from what she's heard and even for herself, it's not like such a like usually what's more common is like this, step by step and like the shliach and that. For me, it was literally like a voice in me said, you have to turn your life around. And literally in a day, I became totally from. I started keeping shachar, like davening shachas and chamarev. I did take things on in steps. I didn't daven the whole shachas when I first started, and I didn't. I wasn't learning as much. I wasn't as, but yeah. And then,
what was the response of like your parents, your family?
So they thought that I was nuts, and then my dad became from.
Wow.
Like a year later, I gave him a pair of tzitzis, and he put them on. He was like, "Wow!" And we started learning. Yeah, and then that's the Bekitzer how I became from.
Fast forward, if I'm asked,
That wasn't so Bekitzer, by the way. Sorry about that.
No, it's amazing. Right. One would think that now when it comes time to giving back, you would give back to, let's say, teenagers in LA or C-teen, or not putting that down. That's amazing, important stuff.
So now the question is, how did I get into the shlichus?
How do you get into the shlichus then? Obviously at the time of Mars, and that's a whole story for itself, but how did you get into the shlichus of then caring about kids that grew up in Crown Heights, kids that grew up from homes, and saying, this is where the shlichus of Gavi Kollen and his family is for?
So,
what intrigued you about it?
It honestly wasn't. It's not so glamorous. It's not because something spoke to me. It's literally because Hashem sent it my way. I was in Morristown, and Morristown has a program called the Teres, which is for boys that grew up from and aren't like the classic Bachram anymore. And I naturally wanted to become close to them. That's just how I work. I'm naturally social. I like to go up to everyone and anyone on the street, ask anyone, put on tefillin, whenever, wherever, however it is. And especially if they're teenagers, from birth, not from birth, I'll go up to them. Like C-teen, I'm just going up to different groups the entire time for breaking, getting contacts like this, that. And I went to Lamanachai. I was in Lamanachai for 2 years as a counselor, which is for kids from public school. And that was I didn't know what direction my life would take in shlichus, but I knew I wanted to do that at the time. And I just naturally go up to these groups. And so it all started because I was in Tiferes, and on Af Shabbosim, I knew that a lot of these boys, what were they doing on Af Shabbosim? They weren't doing anything. And I was like, why don't we make a matziv? And I fundraised from the community a little bit. I literally would zoom out on the map, look for green in driving distance, zoom in, look at the name of the place, look up Chabad of said place. And then I'd call up the rabbi, say, I want to bring 10 Bachrim to you this Shabbos.
Wow.
And so we did that. We did that maybe 5 or 6 times. And it was really cool. It was really life-changing. Because my mindset was if you could trap people in a farbrengen, they'll change their life. Because everyone wants to do better. And the problem is that people get stuck in a rut. And they just get stuck going in a certain direction. And once they have a farbrengen, they'll change. Because there's clarity, there's light, there's all of a sudden, they get a clarity. So I saw people changing. I saw movement. I saw that there was momentum. I saw that it was, but I didn't think that this would be a big thing. I just thought, for now, this is a good shlichus for now. And then I realized Pesach, 4 years ago, I'm going on America shlichus to Mexico for 17 days. And I thought, after the Sidarim, what's the shlichus? There is no shlichus. Right. And aside from matzah, there is no shlichus. What do you? So I thought, why don't I bring a few boys why don't I bring some chaver to Mexico?
Wow. Where in Mexico?
La Paz.
Wow.
You been there?
No, I heard it's beautiful though.
I brought 3 boys to La Paz, and it was awesome. We just really connected. We really, really connected.
What does it mean to trap them in a farbrengen? What does that mean? Because there's something to it. It works.
You know what it is?
Welcome, Chevra. See this.
I'll tell you what it is. It's this energy that I think is honestly the magic behind the farbrengen camps, behind the retreats, and all the shlichus is. It's almost it's very Elul-dic. I was actually thinking today, I really live in Elul the entire year.
Wow.
Because it's my teva. It's very powerful. I go to these kinds of chevra with this energy of there's no giluyim. I don't need to inspire at all, but just a feeling of pure ava and nachas and presence. So I'll just go to these, I go up to them and I want to bring them, when I say trap them in a farbrengen, it'll eventually get there because that's who I am. And that's who a yid is. A yid, when 2 yidden are in a healthy space together, they're going to fabreg. That's just how it is. Wow. Even when they're not in a healthy space. Some of my teens tell me, they told me about their lowest moments where they're high on who knows what drug. And they're farbregging about Hashem. They're farbregging about Torah. They're farbregging about the Rebbe. to Yidden when they, when it's not a
who we
totally
are.
when it's not a totally fake relationship. Yeah, it's who we are. We're farbregers. Yeah. So I guess I just had this energy of like, if I could get a boy in my Dalet Amais, and if he can just sense how much I appreciate him and how much I love him, and like how much nachas I get from just being with his neshama, then I don't even know if I thought about like a conclusion. It was almost like that's just such a great thing. I think I thought that would be good for them.
Wow.
And it's good for me too. My mashpia says like, we charge a certain tuition for the programs. Like how much are people able to pay? We have to do a lot of fundraising also. But he said, really, they shouldn't pay. You should be paying. Because if you knew where you would be without the shlichus, just stam, like, first off, you learn a lot. But there's just a certain special protection you get in your fight against the Yetzer Hara because you're doing this. You're filling up the bank of koiches because you're doing this. So I just saw that with all of these farbrengens, like these deep, beautiful relationships were coming out. And when I say Elul, it's like how the Melech Basada, it's not in a way of Giluyim, but it's just in a way of closeness. So that's basically the whole shlichus, just this sense of closeness and nachas. And I just saw such deep relationships. And I saw people were just automatically changing their lives and automatically growing. Like it wasn't like, I wasn't even talking about Torah mitzvahs. Wow. They just grew. Like one small example that comes to mind is one boy on one of our programs stole a bong. There was a bong by where we were staying, and he like saw like that person would smoke there and like leave it hidden, and he saw they left it hidden and he stole it. And I found out whatever, and me and the staff had to talk with him. Give back the bong,
Right.
Give back the bong.
I remember a story like that when I was in camp. In Mexico, guy.
Yeah. So he was like, "No way, and you're not going to find it if you look for it. I'm not giving it back." Wow. And it was going back and forth. Each staff tried to say another thing to convince him to give it back. And something in me said, like once the conversation was done, something in me said, just like start singing and dancing together. And I just grabbed him and I grabbed the staff and I was like, da 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 la 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 la. And I saw that he was like melting a little bit, and I yanked him. Da da la la. He saw I wasn't taking no for an answer. He's like, you better sing with me right now. Da da la la la. And he should know I love you. Like, because his whole life he got kicked out of different places or whatever, and he always felt like I make the mistake and I'm the bad guy. And I just wanted to let him know, like, you are not a bad guy. Wow. You're not a bad guy. Wow. We're dancing, and then literally 10 minutes later, he points to where like the bong was hidden, and he says, look, and I see he put it back. Another small story of this. It's al derech. It's al derech, the kind of lechatchila riber. When Shalom called me today and said, we're doing a podcast today. What time should we be at your house? And that won me over. Chaim's been trying to get me for months and months and months. And I'm like, I'm busy with this. Shalom calls me today. Today.
What time?
And I was like, oh, man, he.
I said 6:30 or 7?
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, like that's how. So lechatchila riber, that ava nachas to another yid, to even yourself sometimes. But I'm not talking about like that new age, like you gotta love yourself. Like, no, I mean like you just gotta bring in a different energy into yourself that's beyond the chayshach here. And it's also stam an entertaining story. One of my boys calls me at 3 a.m. one day because it's little shishi. I came back from a farbrengen, and he calls me and I answer, and he's like, shoot, why'd you answer? And I was like, why? He goes like, oh, like he didn't want me to answer because like I ruined the fun, like, or not the fun, but like he was calling me because he was in a desperate place where he's about to fall big time, and he almost didn't want me to answer so that he could just carry out his.
Bring me checked off. I called Gavi.
Yeah, but I answered. He's like, shoot. And then he tells me, he goes like, I just stole money. I just stole money from this kid, like 14-year-old kid. He's so stupid. No one taught him how it works. You never send the money before you get the drugs. He wanted to get alcohol from me or whatever, and then he sent the money, and then I got him, and now I needed the money because I need drugs. And he should have known I should give it to him first. Then he gives it to me, and he was like, and he's like, now I stole from this kid, and I don't know what to do. And he's like, so it's like never been such a low. I stole from this innocent kid. What's wrong with me? Like, and I want to buy drugs, and I'm about to call my drug dealer, and like, what am I gonna do? And I was just like, I've learned through a lot of these conversations, though it doesn't help to say give it back. Like that's not why he's calling me. Like he knows what he has to do. Like I have to tell him. And he something overcame me and just said, like, look at a picture of the Rebbe right now. Like, find a picture of the Rebbe somewhere and like just look at it and see what the Rebbe is trying to communicate to you. And he was like, okay. And he's like one of the most spiritual people I know. And he's just like, the Rebbe is telling me to be happy.
Wow.
And then I was like, wow, great. And then he started to feel better. He's like, okay, so I just have to be happy. I was like, okay. And then we hung up. And then 5 minutes later, he texted me. I sent back the money. So then one thing led to another. And then, so while I was in Mexico, I was speaking with my chavrusa on Shlichus. I said, what if we made a camp? His name is Meir Malka. He's of the original 13-day farbrengen crew. I said, like, what if you see what we just did just now? What if we just took it to the next level? But I said it as a joke. It was all just jokes. Because, like, who makes a camp? You know what I'm saying? You don't just make a camp. And I went to my mashpia when I got back, and I was like, we were talking about, like, after a whole conversation of farbrengen, I was like, what if I made a camp? And he just, like, looked at me very seriously and said, like, could you help neshamis? And I was like, I wasn't expecting him to be so serious. I was like, yeah. He goes, okay. So then, yeah.
Wow.
And like once he said, yeah, I was like, something just like lit up in me. First off, that he believes in me because he's a man of truth. He's a man of just like emes, like a really emesdika chassid. And like if he said go for it, and like I believe that the brachas are channeled through the mashpia, like I'm getting a bracha to succeed in this. And then I was aiming to camp to anyone that would come. I was aiming it to Fry, to Lubavitch that grew up and went off, to modern Orthodox that went off. I was just like, who do I get to this camp? I called all different places, and the only people that signed up were Lubavitcher boys. And the 2 rules of the camp were no weed and no phones for 2 weeks. No weed and no phones. And the kid has to want it. So 3 rules. 3 rules. The kid has to want it, no weed and no phones. I mean, the no weed means no drugs, but on last program, apparently that wasn't clear. We had to send home a boy because whatever. He didn't bring weed, at least. And one boy came who grew up like modern Orthodox. But once I came into the scene of like Lubavitcher boys, and these are like were cool kids, you know, like so they knew people who 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 knew people, which expanded far and wide, and word spread very, very fast. Like especially within this world of these teens of Lubavitch. Not as much in the whole Lubavitch. We have to get it out there more because there's still tons of teens that need help. But before you know, then I made a Sukkot program because one of these boys called me, said, if you don't make a Simchas Beis, if you don't make a program in Simchas Beis Sheva, I'm gonna fall. So I was like, okay. So then I made a camp. We made a camp in Chicago in the summer. Then we made a camp on Sukkot in California.
Hundreds of kids were coming to Sukkot here.
Oh, that was this past year. The first year I made something in California, and we had 6 boys.
Surfing is
surfing. But yeah, we had hundreds of boys. We had tons and tons of boys this past year on Sukkot, and that's how we got to the shlichus.
Wow.
That's how we got to the shlichus.
What's the plans? What's the demand and the plans moving forward? And what gives you the strength to keep doing it? You know, you fundraise. I remember the Shabbaton that I was there to join. You know, you fundraised thousands and thousands of dollars, and we felt it. The boys felt it that we're cared for, that we're wanted, that we mean something, that we're valued for just being. That's how I felt. That I'm valuable for just being here. You know. And I think that's what all the boys feel. And what gives you the courage to keep fundraising and keep helping the boys? And what's the vision? That's a lot at once, but
well, the vision is every couple months we're gonna have like a 10-day program, because that's really it's we just saw the success of it is that it wakes up a person's ratzon. You have 10 days where a kid isn't on any distractions, and just for bringing in such a healthy environment that's good begashmis, good baruchnias, and all of a sudden it's like a cleanse. The kid just totally turns around and like it's once a person wakes up, they're awake. Still, they still have challenges, but at least they're dealing with it awake instead of asleep. You know,
they're aware of it.
Yeah, they're aware of it, and so that's the demand. The demand is that there's so many kids out there, so many kids in yeshiva, out of yeshiva, that need just a restart, and it doesn't help like. That was part of my vision too. That like I realized when I saw these kids. And I saw in myself what changed my life wasn't just the normal day to day. What changed my life was there was like this pocket, this bubble of like nothing else existed. And I was like, what if I can recreate that? What if I can recreate an environment where nothing else exists? Like just kind of like totally get plugged out of whatever you're dealing with, of that rut, and then go back in with what you now have seen. And people just change. People's lives change. And yeah.
Whoa. And if I catch the last question maybe was, what gives you the courage to go and fundraise so much money for this? Like not stop. Like it's not just showing up and leading it, but it's a lot of work behind it.
Well, it's because very little money goes to the program. I'm getting rich, honestly.
You should.
Amen.
You're seeing this, Cafe. This is the place to donate. No, this is the most important. This is the place to give. It's helping the future of the world.
It's so important to give to this. I have no bias, by the way. But Baruch.
I have a bias. Sorry, I have a bias because when I was 16, 17, going through not an easy time to say the least. I know if there was a guy that like Gavi, Kollen, there was a guy that came to take me and help me. Baruch Hashem, I had some people like that, but I didn't have the 13-day farbrengen, and that's why it is a bias and it is important. And Baruch Hashem, people are being matzliach. This is the place because shluchah starts at home. Mitzvah starts at home, and this is someone that I was able to see a little bit of what's going on, and it's very, very important.
So it's very important baruchnius. Shkoyach, by the way, for everything you said. It's very important baruchnius because boys just mamish get back in it with baruchnius and begashmius. I had to fly out to Florida last month because one of my campers' best friends passed away from a drug overdose. 19-year-old Yid. It's so sad. So it's literally helping people. Like, I didn't realize it at the time, but it's like two big moments happened this year. One of our boys got married, and one of our boys' best friends died from a drug overdose. And both of those things put me in perspective. Like, first off, it's setting up boys for marriage and for the rest of their life, like for generations to come. And it's literally people could either be not in this world or in this world as a result of these programs. Quite literally, because the magic of the program is the program itself, and then afterwards it's lasting relationships. Every single day I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4 calls with different campers, all like late into the night, early in the morning, different times of days of just like farbrengen, being there, checking in. So what gives me the strength to keep fundraising is that I just see Neshama's changing. And I just remembered it like a funny moment, like talking about like, getting rich. My whole mindset, the only approach that I think works, I guess, I don't even know if I'm consciously doing it, but like the reason why we always get what we need for the programs, I have this mindset of like the program is wealthy. The program has what it needs. Even if L'Poel, we don't have it yet in our in Metzias, we don't have the Metzias of the thing, but in Koyach, it's there.
The program's happening.
What's like a muscle of like a budget or like did they come and put like what's the muscle of that tnua?
Well, I'll just tell you a funny moment. Fine. Maybe a funny muscle for that tnua is like I told my wife, I was like, this was just like a couple weeks ago. I was like, I guess I realized that we're not like so wealthy that like once I saw that we had like 88 cents in the bank account. She started laughing because like I genuinely was like, I guess I'm not technically. I guess like program isn't technically like like $1 million. Yeah, like I get, but it was a chiddush to me. Like I saw the number like the 88 after the 0, and I was just like, I guess technically we're not there, but like that's just a technicality. Yeah, but mamish. But that's the mashal because like
it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah. I mean, what gives me the strength? Also, what gives me the strength to keep fundraising is that I see so many awesome miracle stories. I just see so many miracle stories with the fundraising, and it's fun to see miracle stories.
Right.
And like, what gives me the strength to keep doing it is a bunch of things. First off, I see the boys' lives changing. It helps me, like my mishpia said. Like, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have these koiches in my own fight against my own nefesh bahamis. And I just see so many awesome literal nisim in the shlichas, that it's like, oh, how could I not want to see more of that? You know what I mean?
Wow. Has there been doubts like before you decide to do a crazy idea of a camp, or there's like at what point does it know what's happening, or like?
I guess it's
You
one.
advertised like what was the process of like making
Um,
it from Achshava to Maisa?
I don't know. Just kind of like a decision. It's like a decision that like, okay, it's happening. So then the next step. So then I would just post it on the status like it's happening, and then everything else comes after that.
So the first thing is the decision. You're saying you can't wait till.
Yeah, it's like I decide that it's happening, and then once it's happening, it's happening. Like for the first camp, for example, like we had 3 boys. No, we had 1 boy signed up with 3 weeks left till launch date, and like the mom was like, "Who else is signed up?" I'm like, "We don't have anyone else signed up." She's like, and I just told her, I was like, "Listen, if it's just going to be a camp with the 3 staff and your 1 son, then there's going to be a camp with the 3 staff and your 1 son." And she's like, "Okay." I was like determined, like it's happening. And then punked in 3 weeks, we got 6 more boys, and we had 7 boys and 3 staff. So it was like mamish. It was a massive.
Wow.
But yeah, it's the decision. It's the decision that's going to happen, then it's going to happen.
Like
It doesn't go the way that I plan always. It never goes the way that I plan. But there's always nisim along the way, and I know it's not going to go the way I plan, and I know I'm going to see nisim, and it's just like, and it's important for the neshamis. It saves neshamis, saves boys.
Wow.
You're not going to ask about any nisim.
It's no, I mean I guess we have to for people to see him, but I've said this story in the beginning where I saw this boy that I was in yeshiva with as a shliach, and I don't want to say that everyone gave up on him, but like it was kind of like that where everyone just thought whatever, like how much more could we do? Could the chevra do? And then see him afterwards, and like he was reawakened. He was.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest. That's definitely the biggest nice. The biggest
going
nice.
yeshiva, he's calling me up. He's doing it beside him. I'm like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
I was at the farbrengen with Gavi Kollen. I'm like, this guy's doing something real.
So yeah, those are the biggest nisim. The biggest nisim are when the boys go mina kata lakata. When a neshama wakes up and goes from mamish chayshech to or, like that's the biggest nis. But I guess the most recent like massive nis that like even my mom is like a stark conservative. She's Jew. And she's very spiritual also, like in a beautiful neshama. She's in the conservative world. They're not as into like necessarily talking openly about Hashem, and like it's not about that, Just that's the community. That's just how it works. And I told my mom this story, and she just said open. She's like, "Wow, it's a nes. Like what? That's literally a miracle." What's the story? So, for fun, like I just look at mansions online sometimes, like to see like what are we gonna get for the shlichus? Like what does the shlichus need? And then I was speaking with my wife like a week before the farbrengen retreat, and I said, "You heard this story?"
No. To buy.
Oh, you didn't even hear the story? Like a week before the farbrengen retreat, I was like, a big house isn't gonna cut it. Like a mansion isn't gonna cut it. It's gonna be too small actually, because we're gonna have bigger ideas, and we're gonna be limited by this. We're gonna be stuck here.
This is for the future, you're saying?
Yeah.
And to buy or to rent?
To have. Whatever it means. To have access to buy, rent, whatever it is.
You do the program to have access to.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So I said we need a forest. We need somewhere where we could just keep building. And there's gonna have to be a shul and a house and an indoor basketball court. Because in the winter the guys are gonna have to play basketball. The guys love the ball. And my wife was like kind of laughing a little bit, like, okay, like what else are you going to throw into the mix, We pull up to this place for the farbrengen retreat, and we come, and there's like one house and another house, and then there's a shul, and it's like we're walking around, and like we didn't realize, like me and my wife went on a walk, and it's like this massive property, like we didn't realize how big it was, like oh my gosh, if you walk all the way up, and it's this huge property, and it's like 30 acres, and halfway through the program, like some guys pull up, and they're covered in sweat, and I was like, "Where are you coming from?" They said, "We were playing basketball." I was like, "Oh, where's their basketball court near here?" They said, "There's an indoor basketball court right up the." Wow. So, like a week later, after I said that to my wife, we're at a forest with a house and a shul and an indoor basketball court, and the guy that owns the property was actually there that Shabbos, and he saw the and he just said he was like so blown away. He's like, "This is so amazing. You should know, like, you have a place now. Like, whenever you, like, for your programs, you have a place." That was mamash a week after I was saying it's just like an open miracle. It's like an open
You
miracle.
said a week before indoor
A
basketball.
week before, like indoor basketball, like as a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was actually like, how am I going to fundraise? And I was literally speaking to my mashpia. Mashpia was trying to put me in place. Like, whatever you're talking about is like, come on. Like, you don't know how. This is not a simple thing. You don't just fundraise millions like because you're like so excited and have like so much. You know what I mean? Like this is it's not so. Like start small. But by hashgacha pratis, we got this location. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just cool. It's honestly very cool in my life. The Rebbe says I've seen in a few Maimarim, that it's through Nisim that we're able to see in Galus that there is, that really there's Geula, that there's an Eibush there. Like that we're able to stay strong because there are Nisim. Like the Nisim are keeping us strong in Galus. And the truth is, I've seen so many Nisim with the Shlichos, and for me, it's just become like a very simple math equation. Like 1 + 1 = 2. Like you go on the Rebbe's Shlichos and determine to get what's the best thing for the Shlichos, and you will get that best thing in a way of a nace. Wow. And at this point, for me, it's a math equation. Like it's not even a question. It's just like, it's a given. Like, it's like a very tiny example. I'll give you 2 small examples. For this shlichus for Sukkot, we had an amazing location last year. Amazing location. Were you in the Sukkot at all?
I was in there still.
It was on Kingston and Crown, right next to
I heard about it.
in an alleyway, massive sukkah. And we weren't able to have it this year, unfortunately, for whatever reason. And for me, that was just exciting because that means like the equation again. 1 + 1 = you go on the Rebbe's Shlichus, you're going to see a miracle. So I was like, okay, we're going to get a better location. And by Shkacha Pratis, we secured the house right next to Gumbo's, which is on Kingston and President, which is like this, it's a massive property, and there's a huge front lawn, and it's like right central. Like, and because I want to reach more teens. I want to get more teens in that sukkah. The teens need to have a place to be, like a place of kedusha, a place of simcha, So like that's like a small example. Another small example is like I said, we need a bus. A 15-piece too small. A bus is good because it's for the trip itself. The kids will be more comfortable. It's good for them, and it's good for the farbrengen tank. Motzei Shabbos, we're going to start opening like a truck right outside of. I wanted to get some sort of bus or something that you empty out and make into an awesome event space and put it right outside where all the teens hang out and farbreg. Meet them there. Melech Basad. It's mamish Elo. It's literally Elohoya. I very much relate to Elo. Very much.
Wow. But it's very practical.
Very practical. And so I met this Gvir at the Ayel by Shkacha Pratis. And I sent him like a link that we should get, that I need to buy a bus. A link to like a brand new bus. And then I thought, why did I send that to him? Like, what if he says okay? And then like he wants to buy me, I could have got a used bus for $15,000 instead of $120,000, and then he could have given us the other $80,000, whatever, however much it is. And then he like calls me and says, "Oh, Gabriel, like I see you sent me a link to a bus. Is that what I saw correctly?" I'm like, yeah. He goes, "Oh, I have a bus. My family, we bought one a while ago. We don't use it. It has like 0 miles. It's just collecting dust. I just have to figure out the title of and transfer it." I was like, "I could have the bus?" He said, "Yes, you could have the bus."
Wow.
It's like wild. That week, I told my wife, we need a bus.
Wow.
You gotta start talking more often. Start making more jokes.
No, it's not even. Yeah,
I'm saying whatever you joke about.
The equation is very, very true, and I guess that I'm just really thankful to Hashem. I don't think it's from me. I think that it's a bracha, but it's something that can be tapped into. That every chassid has access to.
That sees this could tap into that.
Yeah, so it's literally just if you have an idea for something good, make the decision to do it. And just go for it. And like you'll feel an energy in you, like it's gonna happen. Like you'll feel it in. I have this feeling in me after each program. Once I make the decision, literally, ein davar amid bifnei haratzain is so tangible. It's just I think a lot of people are not used to feeling ratzain. They don't know what like ratzin feels like, so they don't know how to relate to ein.
Elaborate. What do you mean by ratzin?
Ein davar amid bifnei ratzin is like what ratzin is. Ratzin is just the will to do something. A lot of people don't even know what it feels like. I think to like make that decision, you know? Like, I'm going to go for something. I'm going to go for this. And like, without there's like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's going to happen. Like, it's absolutely going to happen. Everything's kind of like, you know, kind of life is just kind of like, you just gotta wake up and brush your teeth and,
Happening to you.
Life is happening to you, yeah. But there isn't like, you know? And so like, you just can feel tangibly when you decide on a shlichus, it will happen.
Wow.
The question is just, how will it happen? I have never, once I made the decision in any of these shlichusin, there was never a question of will it happen. Never a question of will it happen. It's just a question of how will it happen.
Wow.
I don't even know how wow it is. It's just like, this is the right thing. This is what Hashem wants.
He said 1 + 1 = 2. You decide you're going to shliach.
Yeah, it takes work. I mean, I guess maybe it's just because by teva, for me, I'm more this, you know, like you say, like, oh, I'm a man of action, you know, like, for me, I hope that I could give this lesson to other people, that they should tap into this, because more amazing things will happen in the world if people tap into this ein davar amid b'fnei ratzon and shlichus. But like, for me personally, like, it reminds me of the story of like, someone came to the Rabbi, I think, and said, Rabbi, or the Friedrich Rabbi, and said, I don't like to learn. I really don't like learning. What do I do? And the Rabbi answered, I like learning. What do I do? Meaning like,
What does that mean?
Meaning like, the Rabbi's almost responding, I don't have the mila of learning even while I don't like it. You get the mila of, if you learn and you don't like to learn, that you learn with Mesiras Nefesh. It's a higher level. So like, for me, it's not necessarily, this is not where you say man of action, you said at the beginning, like, oh, man of action. I'm like, hey, am I a man of action? Like, yeah, these things are action, but for me, it's not really a vaida. It's fun, you know? It's like, cool, there's nisim, and like, it's connection with the boys, and that feels great, you know? And like,
So fundraising for you is fun?
yeah, it is. Really? Fundraising's so much fun. Yeah, I love. Tell the story of the.
So we came back from the Shabbaton. Actually, we come back.
And then you have to tell the story. Yeah, and then you have to tell the story of how you took it further.
Oh yeah. A little tired now. We came back from the Shabbaton. We went to the oil. It was, first of all, before that, I haven't been to the oil in a couple of months. It was beautiful. I saw my parents. It was amazing experience. And then we go to Crown Heights. We're like, let's end off with a bang.
So hold on. The whole trip got pushed off. We were supposed to be at the oil by like midday.
It was raining that morning.
It was raining, whatever. Everything was pushed off, and we made a last minute arrangement. And then I realized that the boys need dinner because like, I'm with them till the night. Like, I'm not just gonna send them off. We just had a whole long day. And they're not gonna eat. But it wasn't in the budget.
So we were already maxed out of budget. And Gavi's like, we're going. So we go to Prime Avenue. And Gavi goes inside, and he goes over.
15 guys are waiting. All the guys in the program are waiting outside.
We're there. We're like, we're going. Gavi's like, we are eating here. Now just the question is how. And he goes inside. He went over to one guy. The next guy is like, before you know it, Gavi comes in. He's like, all right, let's go. Like, it's happening.
And so the details were, I went up to one booth of guys, and I just went up to them very calmly and said, hey, we have 15 guys here, and we need dinner. And it's an amazing program we do, and you want to be a part of this chus. And as I'm saying that, there's another guy from the booth heard it, and he literally pulled out his credit card. And it was like, I'll cover it. I was like, okay, shkoyach, sorry guys, you know, like, you don't get this chus. Yeah. And then while we were in the middle of the meal, the first guys were like jealous.
Yeah, literally.
So
we were farbrengen,
singing, and then the whole restaurant.
Everyone knew we were in the restaurant.
The whole restaurant. There was like this. It was like right when the Iran war started. So this Israeli couple they were flying home. The flight got turned around. They were so sad they didn't see their kids. So we were dancing with them, singing with them, and like the whole restaurant was like,
we're mamish alive.
So these guys were jealous. Like, he came over with his credit card open, like, and he's like, what can I get you guys? Like, can I buy you guys drinks or something? Like, I want to, you know, like, sure. Everyone got up, bought a drink, and he covered the drinks. But you know, I love these kinds of stories because, like, I'm just like walking down the street, going up to people, like, yeah, okay, it's a little exhausting, but like, it's fun to get the word out, and it's fun to, like, you know, see the miracles. Like, sometimes people, like, there's one day I'm like in 770, and I decide I'm not fundraising that day. I want to learn. I want to sit and learn, and somehow it'll work out because this is a good shlichus, and learning Torah is also good. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to fundraise today. And I was speaking to one of my friends, and he's like, no fundraising. I'm like, no, not today. He goes, do 5 minutes. I was like, okay, I'll do 5 minutes. And I went up to one guy in 770, and he gave $1,000 on the spot.
Wow.
A couple nights later, I didn't fundraise that day either. And I was at Ma'ariv, a side shul, like a shul not even 770. And the guy gave $1,000 on the spot. It's not normal. This is not normal. But I think it comes from when you show the Eibishter, when you show the Rebbe, that you know that all the brachas are here. And that you just need to be a channel to make it happen. And like you just ask the Eibishter that you should be a proper channel. And like, you don't even need to be that much of a channel, honestly. If you knew my Yitzhara, you also have Yitzhara. I'm no tzaddik. We're the same. And I know that, you got a good nefesh of Bahamas. I also got a good nefesh of Bahamas, And like, I don't know how much of a channel I really am. But I think that even you don't need to be that much of it. I know where I'm holding. You know what I mean?
What's the channel
I know where I'm holding, and yet somehow these things happen through me. Like mamish doesn't make sense. Like these things should not be happening. It should be someone else should have this chos. But I guess it just shows that, like, the Rebbe's brachas, if you give a little bit, they'll just flow like a powerful current that like overcomes everything.
Wow.
Just like it's you don't need to be. I'm telling you, I'm not a special. I have certain talents or whatever that I'm a normal dude, just like anyone else. I have a normal Yitzhara, just like anyone else. And I guess I've just had this chus that the Eibishter has allowed me to like go for things in a way that seemingly doesn't make sense and is like beyond teva, and then like miracles happen. But that's it. You just go for something. It's a simple equation. You have a shlichus, you have an idea, and you feel that it's backed by the Rebbe, and you run it by a mashpia to make sure it's backed by the Rebbe, and you make a decision, and then you just watch the miracles unfold. Watch the miracles unfold.
Wow.
If you have any, l'chaim, like that's all I have.
Closing thoughts, wow.
Question: Do you feel that annoyed at you? It's what, how do you deal with like you're 770? You're like
when I'm fundraising.
Yeah, like I'm sure you have to only got fundraising in 770. I was wondering like how do you go about it? What's your shit of rejection or people not being interested or like being uncomfortable? I was wondering what's your take on it?
You're used to that from a time already. People saying, okay, all right, fine, have a great day. It depends, it depends. But
as long as you're not taking it personally.
Sometimes people insult or people like say you're doing it all wrong or people, like okay, I have my mashpia and I run everything by him. And
as long as you're
you're doing the right thing.
I know that I'm open to being wrong, and I'm like okay, I don't have to take everything everyone says so serious, and also like to be able to see. A lot of the times it's just when people are being harsh, it's just shtick, so you can just like spit it back at them,
Like what?
Like today I went up to somebody and I was just to mess around. I went up to him and he had already given just recently, but like I know that maybe he had a little more. So I went up to him with $5,000 on like the card reader, and I was like, come on, don't even think about it. It's Elul, just tap the screen already. And he's like, I gave you already, and I said, you want me to give you another schus? And then he like looked at me and then like he smiled. He was like, okay, and then he tapped the 5,000. No. I'm just joking. Although I do have a story like that. I was at the oil and I went up to someone. I put my hand on their shoulder. I was like, I need someone to sponsor 10K because I make these programs for these teens. I need someone to be a sponsor, be a matcher. It was like, okay, on the spot. And he gave 5,000 on the spot. That was one. Wow. That story did happen. But like, that's what I mean. Like you can channel. Like you don't always have to. Like I don't like to end on a weird note with people. Sometimes it just has to be that way. But like, if you could play it off,
Right. Always end up.
So he's like, you already came to me, and I was like, you don't want me to come again with another schus? You don't want schusin? And he was just like,
Yeah.
okay, have a good day. Yeah, like I just called someone earlier this week, and I was like a certain Gvir, I was like, we need $10,000, and he said, no, not gonna work for me. Like, no, it can't. And I started laughing on the phone. I was like, okay, you don't want the schus? I'll get it from someone else. Like, that's what I said to him. It's like, if you don't want the schus, well, just get it from someone else. I was like, that's I think I said the words. I was like, that's on you, man. If you don't want it, I'll find someone else. Like that's your problem, you know. And then he immediately responded. He was like, okay, fine. The door isn't closed. Call me later.
Wow.
That's what he said. So it's almost like people could get annoyed, but like, I think if someone wants a product, they're less likely to get annoyed when they're trying to buy the product. Meaning, like, if someone is searching for a product, then they're on the move to get they're not going to get like annoyed that someone's coming to offer them the product that they're trying to buy. You get what I mean? So like if someone's all bashemt and like they're like all embarrassed when they're coming up to ask for money, they're like, oh, you know, like, then yeah, it could be a little annoying. Like, why are you getting in my space? But if you come up to someone, like every Yid wants to give tzedakah and every Yid wants schusin, right? Who doesn't want to, like a massive schus? So you just give off that energy. Like this is a massive schus. Like you don't, yeah, you don't want, like you go up like it's a product that they want. And then if it's a product that they want, then they're interested. And they're like, they're not going to get annoyed because they want the product. If you don't want the product, fine, you don't want it. Okay, I'll get up and someone, like, you know.
Wow.
As long as you see the value of the product, and so long as you see the benefit for them to give and the schos and the opportunity for them, you're offering them, giving them an opportunity.
Yeah.
And they don't see it, it's on them. You know, you don't have
Also
to.
giving it over, being confident. This is a schos.
Yeah. And it's also like, I don't need you. Like, I'm not like needy of it. It's not like weird. This isn't like a weird, you know, like, this isn't weird, you know? Fundraising isn't weird.
Saying, what do you mean it's not weird? Like, it's not.
Meaning, like, someone could feel all weird, like, oh, I need you. That's where the weirdness comes from. Like, oh, like, can you please help me? Like, oh, I'm so embarrassed to ask you. It's like, I don't actually need you. I have the Eibush there. I have the Rebbe's braches. I don't need any, right? You don't need any person that you think you need for the shlichus. You don't actually need them. And then when they feel you don't need them, and they actually they might need you more than you need them.
Wow. You said, how do you know that the millionaire that was giving us the house is like helping us? Maybe we're helping him. Maybe we're giving him the reason to.
Yeah, you remember I was saying that. I said on the shlichus, like, what's worth more, his property or the shlichus?
Right, literally.
His property is batal legamre to the shlichus.
It's true.
No, seriously. Like, so then, and
who's the Gavir? Who's really the Gavir?
Yeah.
Who's really the Gavir? Yeah. Rabbi Kollen told us when we were interviewing him, he said he came to this penthouse, massive place, and one of the guys like, how did you get to my office? You're like all upset. And he turns to the guy and says, how did you get to speak to me?
Rabbi Kollen said that?
He's like, you must be important if you're speaking to me.
Rabbi Kollen said that?
And he's like, the guy, he went out, he's like, he went out of his bowers, like, you're a bigot. Because like, you treat your secretary, you think she's more important than the Rebbe's head shliach.
Oh, wow.
You're speaking to me. He said,
oh, that's Gavi.
This is his mindset. He said stories. He ripped up the check, he told us, and he didn't get it again, or did it again. He says, we're going. You know?
L'chaim. This is all just, you know, if this could just inspire someone to just get out there and make that decision.
Right.
Let's make it l'chaim, yeah.
Let's make it l'chaim.
You be the ball.
People should just know, you know, this is not... anyone's capable of it, and it's not it's not Gavi is this special guy, and like, you know, like that's not the idea of this farbrengen. It's not. It comes easy for me. It's like fun for me, so it's not even like I don't even really get the mila of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get that. Like, you know, for me, I know what I have to work on, and I don't have to work on this per se because it's not where the. You know, each person has where their avodah is. So, like, I guess
go with it. Whatever the person's avodah is. Like
what I'm just trying to say is like, this part you cut out of the interview. I'm just people shouldn't get the wrong idea. Like, oh, I'm this big shot. You know, like it's the Rebbe's brachas.
Wow, should be bottled to the Rebbe.
Oh my gosh, how much did we not? Yeah, we didn't even talk about that enough. It's the Rebbe's brachas. That's the MS. But now we have l'chaim in our hands. It's the Rebbe's brachas. And if the Rebbe were to pull away the brachas from me for 1 second, I would be worse than my campers. I'd be worse than my campers before I meet my campers. No, really. Like really, really, really. Really, 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 really. I have no clue how much siyata dishmaya I'm getting and how much it's not me. You know what I'm saying? I have no clue. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'olam ha'olam.
Wow. How can we? I'll put the links in the show notes and stuff. How can we meet you if someone wants to reach out?
My phone number is the best place to start.
To donate, to get involved.
My phone number, 310-384-4286. 384-4286. You'll write it down and then we'll send the links. We'll send the links of the Sukkot program or Cash App, Zelle.
What's happening? Just in case.
I'm making a massive sukkah from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night of Simchas Beis Sheva with farbrengen, catered food b'shefa,
A
couches.
safe zone, and not just a safe zone, a place where Chaver could farbrengen.
Oh yeah. You're gonna be one of the farbrengen.
L'chaim.
I mean, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. Like, this isn't about me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What's about you?
Okay, good.
No.
It's about us.
Thank you for having us.